Well, good morning, everyone. And once again, welcome to another live this morning. Hope you're having a great start to your day. We certainly are. Hope you've had your vitamin C, the real vitamin C. And we'll say hello to our friends here this morning. And I know I missed so many of you, but Brahim, I don't know how you do it, but you're number one. Laurie Lee from Ventura, California. Nativity, good morning. And another Laurie, but from Niagara Falls, Rosa Montreal. Mike from Norland. And Adeline, good morning to you. Mary from Norwich. Kevin, there he is, from Oshawa. Nellie, good morning. Chantal, Ottawa. Nick from our staff, good morning. Wendy from Markham. And Anne from Moncton, New Brunswick. And Georgie from Halifax, Nova Scotia. Maria. And Diane, Thunder Bay, good morning. Marilyn, Kelowna. And Rosalinda, the Kidneys of Canada, Niagara Falls. Yolande, bonjour. Crystal, Calgary. Cheryl, West Virginia. Serpa, good morning. And Jane, Toronto. Fran, Orangeville. Carrie from Nebraska. Janice. And there's Doc McEwen back in West Tennessee, I would imagine. Dave, good morning. Wanda from Virginia. Deb, Nova Scotia. Gertie, Burlington, good morning. And there's Kevin. I've said hello already. Len and Judy, Edmonton, Alberta. Leslie, good morning from Thunder Bay. Elaine. And Bonnie, Manitoulin Island. Donna, good morning. And Christine Matheson. Lorraine, Oshawa. Yvette, bonjour from Sydney. Annette from Nouveau Brunswick. Regina, good morning. And Lioness, how are you? Kristen. And Liette, Sturgeon Falls. Joyce, Kansas. And Nancy, Nova Scotia. A couple of more. Gloria, New York. And Francis Marie, did I say hi to you already? Can't remember. Leela. And Deb from Motown. And Rita, good morning. Cecilia. And Sharon. And Janine, Louisiana. And somebody I just missed. April. Good morning. Jeanette. And you're the last one. From Kapuskasing. Good morning, guys. We appreciate you coming on. Okay, now, a recent study, okay, and a recent report, by the Council for Responsible Nutrition determined that hundreds of thousands of medical events related to chronic diseases could be avoided in the first place. And let me quote, investing in supplements could save billions of dollars a year in disease prevention, according to a report by the Council for Responsible Nutrition. Now, I don't know if you knew this or not, but in the United States of America, 80% of the population take a supplement on a daily basis, 80%. Now, you know what's happening in Canada. They want to change, the bureaucrats want to change legislation to make that impossible for the average person to get their supplement. Hey, guys, I know I'm preaching to the choir here. 80% of the population, according to report by the Council of Responsible Nutrition are taking supplements. That's in the United States. I don't know if it's any different in Canada. I wouldn't think so. And they want to stop that. Now, let me just continue with this study. Here's what they concluded. If cardio patients over the age of 55 took omega-3, this is the Council of Responsible Nutrition. They concluded that if every cardio patient in the USA over 55 took omega-3, chances of ending up in the hospital radically reduced, cost saving by $1 billion a year. Taking omega-3. Now, I've talked to you for a long time about omega-3. One of the biggest problems we have in our society today is we are top heavy on omega-6. And the reason we are, and people don't think of that, but we are, is because of all the go to the middle aisles of your grocery store. People don't know this. You do, but they don't. You go to the middle aisles of your grocery store, go up and down, all the processed foods, packaged pretty well, are loaded with omega-6. Okay? Sounds good, omega-6, doesn't it? Well, not if it comes from seed oils, hydrogenated oils, oils that are made for your car, because what happens is that omega-6 goes way up in relationship to the amount of omega-3 people consume. And you know what happens? You get inflammation. And inflammation starts to damage blood vessels. And the Council of Responsible Nutrition has said, if every cardio patient, people that have already had cardio diagnosis, high blood pressure, maybe they've had a heart attack, maybe they've had a bypass, but they said this, if they took a supplement of omega-3, it would keep them out of the hospital almost invariably, radically reducing costs in the United States. Now, this is an American thing. But the point is, omega-3 is on my favorite 5. Now, I want you to eat omega-3. If you have steak, you're going to get omega-3. You're going to get the right oil. You're going to get the right fat. If you like fish, good for you. I have fish every day in a capsule. I don't want anybody taking that away from me. I don't. And, people think, and look, okay? You know my overarching principle here at the Martin Clinic. You can't out-supplement a bad diet. People try it, but you can't out-supplement a bad diet. But the Council for Responsible Nutrition, at least in this study that I read, or report, weren't talking about even changing your diet. They were just talking about taking a supplement. And they're saying this would be huge in terms of cost savings. Now, guys, you know this. During the pandemic, What was I saying? Everybody and their dog ought to take what? Vitamin D. Vitamin D. Because, and studies showed it, there was nothing more effective in preventing and diminishing the risk of that virus like vitamin D. Nothing like it. It was incredible. And it got pushed out of the spotlight. No money in it. Follow the money, folks. There's no money in it. Nobody would make money. Okay? Now, here's what the other report said, okay? It's unreal, okay? They're talking about, okay, this same study that said in 2021, so it's very recent, the FDA adverse reactions, 2021, okay? Drugs, okay, medications, 2 million, in 2021, there was 2 million adverse effects reported to the FDA. 2 million, resulting in, according to the FDA even, 187,750 deaths due to adverse reactions to medications. Okay, now, listen to this. The FDA said this. Supplements, 0 deaths in 2021. 0. Wow. That's pretty safe. I just read an article this morning. Listen, I did. Linda, listen. I just read an article. It was recent, where a woman died in the United States of America from drinking too much water. Now, you know what I think about drinking water. I call it vitamin W. We don't drink enough water. But one person recently in the United States, I just read the article this morning, died from drinking too much water. I don't know what she was thinking. But I guess it can happen. But listen, guys. In 2021, not one person died from supplements. What have I always said? The waiting rooms are not full. The waiting rooms are not full in the emergency departments of hospitals in Canada or the United States with people, oh, I know why you're here. You got sick and you're about to die because you just took too much vitamin D. But you would think that the way the FDA and the way Health Canada are terrified of vitamin D, you would think it was killing people, left, right, and center. But it's not. It's not. And they want to take that away. Guys, I get a migraine thinking about it, that I was talking to one of my former patients yesterday, and I said, did you ever think in your lifetime that they would resort to this kind of thing? Like, I get it, how the FDA and Health Canada, I mean, they're sponsored. They're supposed to be government agencies, and yet their funding comes from the pharmaceutical companies. And now they want more funding from the farm. Well, if you get funding, the pharmaceutical companies are going to demand. They want a little payback. I can't remember when I did this, but I remember with my radio show, okay, years ago, I was so uptight about a medication called Vioxx because I watched it. You have to understand, I was in practice at the time. And there was people who were taking that medication. It was a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory called Vioxx. Do you know that it took FDA and Health Canada 5 years to take that off the market, even though people were dying? It took them 5 years. And you know what, at the end? Well, 1 year, 50,000 people died. And in total, over 120,000 people died from Vioxx. I was screaming, guys, blue murder. Because I had patients that were taking it. They were under prescription and they had either rheumatoid arthritis or some kind of arthritis. And I said, man, you're going to have a heart attack taking that medication. I said, go to your doctor and switch it. Get off of it. And I was really vocal about it. I talked about it on my radio show, the dangers of Vioxx. Do you know that 5 years, listen to this, took them 5 years to take it off. After they were getting all these people that were dying, it took them 5 years. Because the pharmaceutical company kept saying, well, it's safe. It's safe and effective. Do you know that not one of those executives at the pharmaceutical companies, not one, 120,000 people died. Not one person went to jail. Not one. I was furious about that. No, they had a provision. They put money away because they knew in their research that people were going to have heart attacks. And they knew it. They started putting money away. They made billions. How much did they make here? $2.5 billion with Vioxx. And they put away some money, I think 10% of it, because they knew they were going to get sued. And it was just part of business. Oh. Okay. I got to stop because I get too uptight, okay? I can't believe, like I said, here we are, and the United States won't be far behind us, but in Canada, there's legislation that has already been passed that gives Health Canada the ability to stop people from getting supplements. It's already been passed. Now there's a time period where we can respond to that legislation and start screaming that it's not right. And guys, look, Again, I just say it, nutrition is more important than supplements. You can't out-exercise a bad diet. You can't out-supplement a bad diet. You can't out-fast a bad diet. You can't. You can't. I want to read this other study because it goes with it. A diabetic, okay? A diabetic, listen to this, has 8 times, this is a new study that I just got this morning. A diabetic has 8 times increased risk of significant progression of coronary calcification post-bypass. What did I just say? If you're a diabetic and you've had bypass surgery, heart bypass, okay? That calcification in your arteries, your coronary arteries, is going to come back 8 times faster. What's the connection? Food. What's the connection of calcifying your blood vessels? What is it? It's food. Diabetics. We laughed about it yesterday. They have an allergy. You might have an allergy to cats. Diabetics have an allergy to carbs. Diabetics have a food intolerance to carbohydrates. And because nobody teaches them that, all they can think of in diabetes in Canada and the United States is, oh, you better get on medication and eat in moderation. Oh, I like that. It rhymes. Get on medication and eat in moderation. That's what they teach a diabetic. And what they should be teaching them is you have an allergy. You have an intolerance to carbohydrates. You and carbs have a bad relationship. And because you're a diabetic, you're on the Titanic and you already hit the iceberg. Time to get in the lifeboat. And they're showing in a study you're 8 times more likely, even if you've had a bypass and you're a diabetic, they're going to calcify. What calcifies? When insulin, my friend, insulin is not your friend if you use it all the time. I've taught you that about food. Insulin should be used sparingly. So a diabetic, their insulin don't work anymore. And guys, don't misquote me. I'm not against medication. I'm not. But that's not going to fix anything. And it will always end poorly. You need to fix it. You need to reverse it. You need to get it under control. Because diabetes is a food issue. It's not genetics. Look, you might be more susceptible. You live in India, you're more susceptible to diabetes. You're a First Nations people, you're more susceptible to diabetes. You're African American, you're more susceptible to diabetes. You're an Egyptian, you're more susceptible to diabetes. But that doesn't make you a diabetic. It just gives you a weakness. You know me. My history is diabetes in my family. Coming out both of our ears. But what do? I try and practice what I preach. I know I have a weakness. Okay. Me and carbs don't get along. Do I like them? Yeah, I like them. Yeah, me too. I like them. But I don't get along with them. I watched my dad. Very smart man. He said, son, listen. Okay, I'm listening. I was in high school. He said, you know what it's called? It's called sugar diabetes. Oh. That means you lay off the sugar. Okay. Okay, Dad. I remember going to school. I took 2,000 hours of nutrition. And they were teaching me moderation. And all I could think of was my dad. I remember a nutrition prof. I said, well, it's called sugar diabetes. That means you can't have any sugar, right? He said, oh, no. No, I mean moderation. I said, oh, I thought it was sugar diabetes. Isn't that what it's called? Yeah. And then the food industry listened. And the pharmaceutical industry, listen, Linda, you know what they did? They changed the name to type 2 diabetes, adult onset. They didn't want kids to think of sugar diabetes. You think the sugar industry, they paid people to lie. The sugar industry paid researchers to lie about sugar and blame fat. That, my friend, is a fact. They said fat, bad. Sugar, good, in moderation. See, that's how they got away with it. You want to have ice cream? Moderation. But when you're a diabetic, no ice cream. I used to tell my patients. I've told you the story, but, you know, like a lot of my patients had great sense of humor, okay? One guy says to me, Doc, you mean I can have bacon and eggs every day? I said, yep. He said, I can't have bacon and eggs every day without toast. I said, pretend. You're a diabetic. Toast turns to sugar in nanoseconds. You're a diabetic. No more sugar. It's sugar diabetes. And bread is sugar. Oh, okay. He said, you mean it? Pretend? I said, yeah, just pretend you're dipping your bread in your eggs. He called me back. I'm serious. This guy he could have been a stand-up comedian. He was hilarious. He had facial expressions and he made me die laughing because what? I can't have my toast? I said, pretend. He calls me and my staff, they know I'm busy. I'm seeing one patient after another. And I didn't take phone calls while I was at the office, unless my wife called. Okay? You called me during office hours, you weren't getting a hold of me. My wife could. Okay? But he kept calling. And finally I said, okay, I'll talk to him. And I said, Joe, what's up? He said, I done 1 week of pretending. Bacon and eggs every morning. He said, I love the bacon and eggs. And he said, I'm getting used to pretending I got toast. But guys, it's unbelievable. We see a study like this that there are 8 times. What is calcium in those arteries got to do with sugar? Yeah. Sugar, my friend. I'm resting. Sugar, my friend. Your body does everything it can to get sugar out of your bloodstream. You have an organ dedicated to it. Sugar is so toxic. It's so toxic. Your body knows that. The world doesn't know it. The world lies. But your body knows. Can't have sugar. Because the second you do, your insulin goes crazy and it says, you, sugar, come here. Come here. You can't park there. Can't park in blood. So come with me. Out. What if you're a diabetic? Well, the traffic cop ain't even there anymore. Sugar is parking in the bloodstream. So then they give you medication to replace insulin. But it only works for a time, and even then, the side effects are legion. Yeah. And it calcifies. See that sugar left in the bloodstream destroys blood vessels. The body tries to heal that destruction by laying down a foundation of calcium. It calcifies. Inflammation is there in that area because it's trying to heal the area, and it recalcifies even more. And then you're in big doo-doo. That's why, guys, okay, just to finish here. That's why whenever I had a diabetic patient or someone that was, their A1C was above 5.4, I used to tell them, you're in deep doo-doo, and effectively, you already are a diabetic. I know your doctor didn't tell you that yet. They're waiting for disaster before they tell you. They're waiting till your blood sugar gets up here, but you're already. You have sugar in your urine. You're already in major trouble. Most of those people that I had conversations with, they took that so seriously. And when they got their little education on Nutrition 101, they changed their life. When they understood it's sugar diabetes. But there were some that said, no. My doctor said I can eat in moderation as long as I take my medication. They weren't listening, Linda. And when they don't listen, I still love them. I did. But I'm just a messenger. I'm giving them the message. Don't shoot the messenger. But I warned them. You know, I had a big stop sign. Stop. But if you go through it, what can I do? Okay, guys. Friday, question and answer Friday. Get your questions in. We love that time together, don't we? Okay. Have you got your book, Sun, Steak, and Steel? You don't? Get your book. Okay? Give it away after you read it. Okay, they're going to be introduced to something they don't hear. They're going to be told the truth about meat, about eggs, about cheese. They're going to be told the truth about the sun and vitamin D. Okay. Okay, guys. We love you dearly. Talk to you soon.